Coping with COVID is brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. Also, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Center. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their life. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Center at agapects.com. And Columbia Housing Authority. The agency is looking for stories from former residents of Allen Benedict Court to retain some of the property's rich history. In its 80-year life, Allen Benedict Court has been home to some of the country's elite, including a Grammy Award-winning performer, corporate executives, national television celebrities, a host of doctors, lawyers, and NBA greats. So share your pictures, mementos, and memories at chcares@chasc.org. Coping with COVID, brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Columbia Housing Authority, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connection.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
Fight the spread and take a stand against coronavirus. Wear a mask in public. Stay at least 6 feet apart from others. And get tested. Join us and fight the spread. Visit scdheck.gov/COVID-19.
Hey there, it is a terrific Tuesday. I'm Tre Tailor, and you are watching Coping with COVID. Thanks for joining us. Updates on the pandemic, information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It is brought to you by SCDHEC, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Palmetto Media Connection, and Agape Counseling and Training Center. If you are having some challenges coping with COVID, please contact the folks at Agape Counseling and Training Center. Well, today we're talking about the community. Ramon Jackson with the Department of Archives and Histories tells us about their Black Carolinians Speak project and how you can be a part. Thank you, Ramon, so much for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Plus, voice finalist Cam Wess and The Donkmaster join us also. I guess we lost Cam there. We're going to find out what a Donkmaster is and what is happening with the upcoming festival. Thank you, Donk. Do they call you Donk for short?
They call me Donkmaster. It's all right with me.
Donk. All right. All right. We're going to talk to these gentlemen coming up next on Coping with COVID. But first, your COVID community updates. South Carolina has broken some voting records. Almost 300,000 people have already taken advantage of early voting, 63% white, 37% other ethnicities, plus more than 500,000 South Carolinians have cast absentee ballots, beating out the state's prior record set during the 2016 presidential race by almost 30,000. Now, early voting does continue Monday through Friday. Anyone can vote at any satellite location, regardless of where you live or usually vote. And we're going to share that information a little bit later on in the show. A new low-cost airline is coming to the Carolinas. Silver Airways will schedule Thursday and Friday flights to Tampa, Orlando, and Fort Lauderdale with fares starting at $49. They will fly out of Columbia Airport, and the launch date is in December. And today, the drive-through fair begins. Due to COVID, you may remember fair officials decided to do a different drive-through version. You drive up to the various art, animal, produce, and craft exhibits. Plus, the food is also drive-through. 4 lines featuring fish fries, hot dogs, corn dogs, turkey legs, sausages, candy apple, popcorn, all of that, and more. It's free to attend and runs through the weekend. So stop by the 2020 Drive-Through South Carolina State Fair. SCDHEC has your most up-to-date listings of times, dates, and locations for free COVID testing in and around South Carolina. Please check the bottom of the screen because throughout the show, we will have information on all of those testing sites, which are free throughout the state of South Carolina throughout the show. Also at the bottom of the screen, you'll see information about the DHEC Care Line. Now, there you can call and ask questions about the virus. You can even call to get some transportation. Speaking of transportation, if you are immobile and unable to leave your house, Richland Franklin and Clarendon County paramedics are doing some in-home testing. You see the information, please call 911 Monday through Friday. Now, it's time to get your flu shot, and it's even more important now during COVID to make sure you're vaccinated. Prisma and DHEC both have several locations where you can get your flu shot for free. They're right there on the screen, and that will also be scrolling throughout the show. Mask Up Columbia SC is still giving out some great prizes. All you have to do is post a picture of yourself in your favorite mask, post it to maskupcolumbiasc.com, and then get your family and friends to like it, and you could be a winner from maskupcolumbiasc.com. The South Carolina Bar Association and SC Legal Services have collaborated to offer a toll-free number and a hotline for those folks who need information and assistance with mortgage and rental help. Again, you can see that information on the screen right now. Please contact them if you need some help, and that information will be scrolling throughout the show. The City of Columbia is also giving some help to folks who are behind on their bills. They're offering a 6-month payment plan and assistance up to 75%. Contact your local Columbia, South Carolina Water Bill Department for more information and to set up those payments. And Richland County Election Commission is still looking for some poll workers. They actually need people to work the poll, and they need people to canvass. You can see what the canvassers are doing. They're just going door to door giving voting information. If you are interested, please contact Executive Director at rndc.com. And early voting has started, as I said earlier, and you can check out the various satellite offices throughout the state. Now, you can vote here during the week, regardless of where you usually vote. Once again, all of these satellite locations are open and available for you to vote no matter where you live in the state of South Carolina. Plus, if you've requested a mail-in ballot, you can drop it off at any voting location. You shouldn't have to wait in line. Just walk up and drop it off. Also, you can check to see if there's a drop box. And South Carolina Department of Employment and Workforce is offering free courses and certifications in business, technology, health, data science, arts, and humanities. Courses are offered in English and Spanish, and you can take as many as you like. Registration does close this month, October 31st, so visit do.sc.gov for more information. And if you need some help virtually learning or working, Rashonda Pratt is the expert, and she has a YouTube channel specifically dedicated to giving you information and tips and support for virtual learning for your students. And October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And if you need some help, if you know someone that needs some help, there's a website there that you can contact someone with the Domestic Violence Support Group. Please, if you need the help, make sure that you get it. Coping with COVID is streaming live on the Tailor Made Productions Facebook page. Please go over there and like and share so you can watch Coping with COVID Monday through Saturday at 2 p.m. You can also get all of your COVID-related updates. We're also streaming live on YouTube, so please go over there and hit the subscribe button, and we would love to see you right there on the YouTube channel on Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor, and you're getting updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. And if you've got a story, a COVID story to tell, the South Carolina Department of History and Archives wants to hear about it. Ramon Jackson joins us to talk about the Black Carolinians Speak project. Ramon, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
You are more than welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, before I want to know a little bit about the South Carolina Archives and History Department, but first, let's watch the introductory video.
Okay, great.
The South Carolina African American Heritage Commission identifies and promotes the preservation of African American historic sites and enhances the effort of the South Carolina Department of Archives and History to document and educate the general public about the rich history and culture of African Americans in the Palmetto State. In 1993, only 36 African American historic sites had markers or were listed on the National Register. Today, as a result of the Commission's tireless advocacy and collaboration with its partners, more than 300 sites have been commemorated. The Commission's efforts have led to significantly greater appreciation for the vital role played by African Americans in the development of our state. The Commission continues its mission to educate the general public about the rich history and culture of African Americans in South Carolina by developing a variety of publications for educators, students, tourists, entrepreneurs, and other audiences. Among them, are A Teacher's Guide to African American Historic Places in South Carolina, a volume of lesson plans intended to help teachers incorporate African American history into the curriculum. The Business of Rural Heritage, Culture, and Art, a user-friendly guide that lists South Carolina agencies and organizations that provide technical expertise, funding, and support for entrepreneurs in rural and African American heritage, culture, and the arts. We've recently launched Black Carolinians Speak, Portraits of a Pandemic, an oral history initiative that seeks to capture the African American experience in South Carolina during the COVID-19 public health crisis. Perhaps our most significant publication is the Green Book of South Carolina, an online mobile guide to African American historic and cultural sites across South Carolina. This interactive guide features over 300 historic sites and exciting cultural experiences to encourage residents and travelers to become immersed in the compelling history of African Americans in our state. As we celebrate our accomplishments, we express gratitude to our partners and pledge to honor the memory of those who came before by empowering communities to preserve their place in history.
That is so good, Ramon. Thank you so much. That's such an excellent piece. And, I think that a lot of people don't know about, what was just said, all of the wonderful historic sites that are about African Americans that are right here in South Carolina.
Yeah, it's been a real joy to work here at South Carolina Department of Archives and History over the last couple of years. My role here is I serve as the African American Heritage Coordinator. Essentially, I help consult and advise archives and history on programs, lectures, exhibits, anything related to the history and culture of African Americans around the state of South Carolina. My other duty in this role is to be the liaison between the Archives and History Center and the South Carolina African American Heritage Commission, who you just learned about in the brief video. As part of that effort, I kind of assist them with a variety of different projects. We'll talk a little bit about Black Carolinians Speak in just a second, but my day-to-day includes connecting with individuals in local communities to help them with historic marker applications and National Register nominations. We just finished a series of National Register nominations for extant historic buildings that were once listed in the Negro Motorist Green Book, which has become increasingly popular over the past year or so. And so that project is ongoing. But I came here today because I really want to kind of hone in on our Black Carolinians Speak oral history initiative and this project, Portraits of a Pandemic, because it's so important. And we're getting a lot of great feedback from folks around the state.
That is so exciting that you are getting the feedback. And I just give me one more minute to talk a little bit more about what you do. So the South Carolina African American Arts Commission is within Archives and History, correct?
That's right. We're a state-supported organization that works closely with Archives and History. They're kind of our home institution, but it's a state-supported institution that stands on its own. There's also a sponsoring 501c3 called the Wegoja Foundation. It was formerly known as the South Carolina African American Heritage Foundation. They recently underwent some rebranding and launched a kind of new look and new name. And you can learn about that at www.wegoja.org. And so we're always looking for new members for that foundation. Your donations go towards supporting the work of the African American Heritage Commission. And part of that work, of course, is Black Carolinians Speak.
Right. As you can see, the information for the Wegoja Foundation is on the screen. And as Ramon said, if you need more information, and we should just try to know more about our history and our heritage, because as you know, it's been taken out of the history books too far, too long. And our young people are growing up not recognizing how many contributions people of color have made to the growth, not only of the state, but in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. As you saw in the video, the commission has been instrumental in erecting historical markers around the state of South Carolina. In 1993, when the commission was first created, there were only 36 markers around the entire state of South Carolina that dealt with African American history and culture. And today we've got well over 400. And that number continues to grow because of our efforts and the efforts of folks in local communities around the state. So we're really proud of our record. It's been an honor to work with this organization, and we're excited about the different projects that we have, both in-house here at Archives and History, and then also collecting these stories around the state.
We're talking to Ramon Jackson with the South Carolina African American Commission, and we're talking about now is Black Carolinians Speak initiative. I want to thank you so much for joining us on Coping with COVID. Please continue to post and share this information out, because there's someone in your circle or on your social media that really wants and needs to hear about it. So why and how was Black Carolinians Speak launched?
Well, Black Carolinians Speak was the brainchild of Michael Allen, former National Park Service ranger, now retired. He's kind of an entrepreneur. But when we had our early lockdown back in March, he was at a local Costco, and he realized that most of the people who were standing in this long line that stretched into the parking lot were African American. And he, being a historian and a kind of cultural interpreter, basically kind of questioned, well, what kinds of experiences are these folks having? Who's going to be around to hear their stories and learn about how they got over and survived this really difficult time? And so he brought the idea back to the commission chairperson, Janie Harriet. She kind of had some discussions with me and others in Archives and History leadership, and we came up with Black Carolinians Speak Portraits of a Pandemic, which is the pilot project for the larger Black Carolinians Speak initiative. And we launched in May. Things have gone really well. We've received hundreds of submissions, both through our web portal, which is www.greenbookofsc.com/speak. And then we've also collected dozens of oral history interviews that will be housed in the commission papers here at Archives and History and made available to future researchers, students, and others who might have an interest in learning about how Black folks dealt with this pandemic and hopefully eventually survived it.
So were you looking, or are you looking for a specific type of story?
Not really. We have a very basic criteria. If you're Black and you're a resident of South Carolina, we want your story. We don't care how old you are or how young you are. And we've received a lot of different types of historical materials, everything from, seemingly mundane family photos to kind of pictures of children, who were on lockdown and had to celebrate Easter and other holidays by themselves. My daughter's second birthday photographs will be a part of this collection as well, where we had, screens that basically surrounded her while she blew out her second birthday cake. We're looking for anything that folks can provide to give us some idea of how they're dealing with this experience in their local communities. Even if it's something like a photograph of them standing in line at a local Home Depot or Lowe's, where people may or may not be wearing masks. All of these things may seem mundane to us, but it matters to the historical record. One of the reasons that we thought this project was so important is that for a long time, people had this idea that archives were neutral spaces. Well, they're not.
Right.
What's housed in these state archives is essentially representative of what the state deems to be worthy of preservation and sharing with historians and other researchers in future generations. And so, we took a look at what we had available here at Archives and History during the first pandemic in 1918.
Right.
And essentially it could fit in a single email.
Wow.
We lead archivist here, Steve Tutt, he was kind enough to share what we had in our archive. And I kid you not, it fit in a single email. That's not indicative of the experiences of not only Black people in the state, who back then made up the majority of the population of South Carolina, but it's definitely not representative of what we plan to collect today. And so, 100 years from now, when people look at this collection, we want them to think of it like the WPA narratives, right? As a kind of seminal project that showcases the mundane, the unique, the exciting, the boring, everything that folks went through during this really difficult time, that we're going through.
Right. Well, let's watch one of the stories that you captured, and this is artist Darian McLeod.
As a gig worker, it's already stressful because sometimes you already don't know where your next dollar is going to come from. But not knowing when the next dollar is going to come from for the next 6-7 months, that was new. That was different. Part about the story as artists, to make sure to write plays about what's really going on, to sing songs about what's really going on, to write poetry, play drums about what is really going on. Tell our true story. You're always trying to figure out how to amplify your voice. If you do a show and 200, 300, 400 people come to see it, that's cool. How do you reach 4,000 people? How do you reach 400,000 people? How do you reach 4 million people? That's what this digital world at least has the potential of holding.
That's great. That's a great piece. He's such a talented artist, Darian McLeod is. Yeah. And we know that gig workers, as he said, really were hit because most gig workers their gigs are contingent on people going out. Nobody was going out. So, I mean, they were, again, one of the harder hit professions, but people don't think about that. So I love that that's included in the story.
Yeah, we've had the opportunity to speak with a number of gig workers, tour guides, restaurateurs as part of this experience. Our project director, Alida Chenault Small, is a tour guide down in Charleston, a former educational programmer at Avery Research Center. So she's quite familiar with, how something like this might impact both, someone's work as a tour guide and also in other professional circles as well. So, we're trying to be really sensitive to, the needs of folks to tell their story, give them every opportunity to do so. Some people have been reluctant, and we're being patient, and we're hopeful that folks will continue to kind of come around to the idea of sharing their story for future generations.
What are some of the interesting stories? And, not to say someone else's is not as interesting, but what are some of the maybe say unusual stories that you may have heard already?
Well, back at the beginning of the project, we were fortunate to connect with a young lady by the name of Alicia McFarland. She's a native of Greenville, South Carolina, a nurse practitioner. And she contracted COVID at the very beginning of the crisis during a flight from Sacramento, California. She arrived and unconsciously infected those around her. Her father came down with it, as well as several other relatives. All of them survived. But, she dealt with the illness for roughly a month before fully recovering. Once she recovered, she went to New York, worked as a nurse practitioner during the kind of height of the pandemic in New York City. So she worked at Lincoln Medical, helped folks in the homeless community and the surrounding areas to kind of deal with the pandemic's early stages. And I'm happy to report that, she made it through without a second infection. She really helped some folks out. And at the time, when we interviewed her back in May, she predicted that things would kind of worsen here in South Carolina.
Really?
Her prediction was not off. And from what I understand, she travels back and forth now between the Bronx and South Carolina, assisting hospitals however she can. So, that was, really one of the more powerful stories that we collected early on.
And courageous to have it yourself and then go back into really at that time, New York was the epicenter of the virus.
Mm-hmm, that's right. And she's also a part of a research team there at Lincoln that was working on treatments and hopefully a vaccine. So, I commend folks who are in these healthcare professions right now because it's not easy work. As much as we'd like to think we're done with Rona, she ain't done with us.
No.
And so, we really got to continue to support folks in the healthcare profession because they need all the help that they can get.
Can you tell us some of the people that you've already spoken to that we may have knowledge of? Any notables, any names?
Yeah, sure. We spoke with Congressman James Clyburn back in May, just before he took over the chairmanship of the committee that was kind of overseeing how the pandemic was being handled at the federal level. Needless to say, he was not in a good mood that day. He was really upset with a lot of the kind of public messaging and the behavior of some of his colleagues regarding how the pandemic was being dealt with at the local and state levels. We've also spoken with Mayor Steve Benjamin, and I plan to double back and do a second interview with him because he had a lot to share. And then, we've also spoken with just, citizens around the state, folks who either came down with the virus or had family members that did. One of your former guests, I think, Marilyn Hemingway. Did you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She participated in an interview with me last week, and she shared how this pandemic has helped her kind of flourish professionally while still dealing with some of the personal difficulties, particularly related to her father's passing. So, we're not just looking for folks who are kind of in the in crowd. We're really interested in, stories from any Black resident of South Carolina who's willing to share.
And so if someone is interested in submitting, what can they do? They just contact you, and then do they have to have a story in mind, or do you kind of help pull? Because what if I've got 10 stories, you kind of just pull it out of them or use what you can use?
We're not really picky about the stories that we receive. Like I said, we've received stories and photographs of things as seemingly mundane as a fishing trip to some of what I've shared so far. You can visit www.greenbookofsc.com/speak. You're welcome to submit written testimonies, letters, photographs, screenshots of social media posts, media articles, anything that you think will help us to create a robust collection that captures the Black experience during the pandemic. If you're interested in participating in an oral interview, we're still looking for participants in certain sections of the state. We're trying to get at least 2 per county because we want to make sure the collection represents the entirety of the state. If you know folks in Edgefield, Fairfield, McCormick, Saluda, Dillon, Union, Cherokee, Aiken counties, we're really looking for participants from those counties in particular. But sign up, let us know you're interested, and we'll make sure that a representative of the project gets back to you as soon as possible.
Awesome. Well, after the conversation, after our interview, I want to get those cities, those areas, so that we can, share them on the show and share them on the social media, since you're, kind of looking for some specific areas. Now, anything else that the African American Heritage Commission has coming up, Ramon?
I mean, one of the things that's been really unique about this pandemic experience, and
right,
it's an amazing show, and it's blossomed overnight, right?
God has really blessed.
Yeah, I mean, we are truly blessed to be able to continue the work. Since the pandemic has started, we've kind of become inundated with a variety of projects, Portraits of a Pandemic being among the most important. We also have upcoming a statewide survey of extant historical buildings that were listed in the Negro Motorist Green Book. We're looking for student researchers to participate in that. The deadline is Friday, so if you're interested in applying for a position, you can visit us on social media. The advertisement for that position is available there. We've also got an ongoing project where we're erecting 25 historical markers in rural sections of South Carolina. So we've got a lot of folks in local communities around the state who are working with us to continue to preserve our places in history. So, there's a lot going on. If you want to get involved, visit the Wegoja Foundation website, sign up for a membership, and join the effort. And any help that we can get to preserve these stories and preserve our history, we would greatly appreciate it.
Awesome. This is Ramon Jackson. He is with the African American Heritage Commission inside South Carolina History and Archives. We're going to end with a clip that really features kind of Congressman Clyburn, who you just mentioned that you guys had a chance to talk to when he was really bad.
People will be able to look 100 years from now. They will know how we got over. This makes it even more important that we shine this light.
Part of it also wasn't the fact that we couldn't have the physical graduation, but I also couldn't celebrate with my family out of town.
For me, I feel like this is a new normal. This is not going away anytime soon, I don't think.
Anything that's happened before can happen again. And the same thing is at play with this virus.
We are no longer in a building, and we've talked about church being, with us, in us.
Have you traveled abroad late in the past 6 months? We were trying to trace it back as early as November.
It's Black Carolinians Speak, Portrait of a Pandemic. If you are interested in sharing your COVID story, if you know someone that is, and like I said, Ramon is looking for anybody, and any story will do. But tell us the specific areas you are specifically looking at right now.
Sure. We're looking for potential participants for oral histories for residents from Edgefield, Fairfield, McCormick, Saluda, Dillon, Union, Cherokee counties specifically. We're looking for folks to kind of tell some stories about what's happening in those areas. Also, the upstate, we're really interested in getting more stories from the upstate. So Aiken, Greenville, Edgefield, that section of the state. If you know anybody that's interested in sharing what's going on, we would love to do an interview and preserve your story for future generations.
All right. Ramon Jackson, thank you so much for all the work you and Miss Janie Harriet are doing to preserve our African-American history, not only in South Carolina, but everywhere. And thank you so much for joining us and sharing this stuff.
It was a pleasure, and I hope to see you next year because I think you're hosting some of our events. So
I look forward to it. I look forward to it. Thank you, Ramon.
Thank you.
All right. Don't forget, you've got his information. Please, please, please contact him if you or someone you know has a story to tell, an African-American quarantine or a COVID story to tell. Coming up next on Coping with COVID, Cam Wess, voice finalist, and the Donkmaster. Do you know what a Donkmaster is? I don't. I have an idea looking at his pictures. I have an idea what it is, but we're going to find out because they're going to join us next to talk about an upcoming Strong Threads Festival. That's next on Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor.
Coping with COVID is brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdheck.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. Also, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Center. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their life. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Center at agapects.com. And Columbia Housing Authority. The agency is looking for stories from former residents of Allen Benedict Court to retain some of the property's rich history. In its 80-year life, Allen Benedict Court has been home to some of the country's elite, including a Grammy Award-winning performer, corporate executives, national television celebrities, a host of doctors, lawyers, and NBA greats. So share your pictures, mementos, and memories at chcares@chasc.org. Coping with COVID, brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Columbia Housing Authority, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connection.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.
October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. If you or someone you know need help, please reach out and get the help you need. You can and will be okay. I'm Tre Tailor, and you're watching Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. The Strong Threads Festival is coming up, and to tell us what we can expect is a Hopkins native finalist on The Voice, Cam Wess. Also joining us is the Donkmaster. I don't see either one of them up there now. I don't know what happened to either one. There's one, there's the other. Nobody's there. Hey, there you go. There you guys go. I don't think the Donkmaster is with us yet. All right. It's Cam. Thank you so much for joining us on Coping with COVID. We appreciate you.
Yes. Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. So until we get the Donkmaster up, tell me, what have you been up to since you were the finalist, since you.
Yes, well, I've been up to many things since the end of the show. Kind of going back to my roots, going back to what kind of got me there in the first place, which is just creating and posting content. Now I'm able to do that on a much larger scale because of the attention that the show has given me. So I've been able to write with some Grammy award-winning writers.
Really?
I've been able to be in contact with some, people high up in the industry that have been guiding me and just working with people who are going to be a blessing to me in the future. So
That's
it's been
great.
really exciting.
That's congratulations. Can you share with us who you've been writing with?
Yes. One of my writing partners has been someone named Natalie Hemby. She is a part of the High Women. She is like a national country artist award-winning performer and writer. And she actually wrote one of the songs that I covered on my Instagram way back in the day.
Oh,
and
wow.
So that's when she saw me and she was like, oh my gosh, I wrote this song. And then she saw me again on the show and we connected from there. I just released a song entitled Lie. It's everywhere you listen to music. And I was actually able to work with my coach on the show, John Legend, with finishing up that song and making sure it was nice and ready to present to the people. So, name after name, but it's just been a blessing really to be able to see, all the hard work that goes into this kind of come to fruition.
Yeah, that's great. So what are you thinking about? I mean, what long term, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Long term, I think I've always had a very specific goal. Since I graduated high school in 2015, I started to really take the Cam Wess of it all very seriously. I said, I was posting on Instagram. I noticed right away that people were using Instagram and social media as a tool to kind of get where they wanted to go in their career. And so that's what I just kind of followed by example. I started to post every day or every week, and all of it was content related to just me as a person and also me as an artist. And from that, I kind of got opportunity after opportunity. I was able to go out to Tennessee and perform. I was able to go out to New Orleans for Essence Festival and perform on the main stage there.
Good.
And all of it was kind of birthed from people being able to see my talents on social media. And funny enough, social media is what landed me on The Voice. I was actually sitting in my apartment one day in my junior year of college, and I got a DM that simply said, hey, I'm a producer on the show The Voice. We love your content. We want you to come out for an audition. And, first when you see that, you're like, okay, this is a joke. Somebody's messing with me. But I followed up. I looked, I Googled, I made sure it was legit. And from there, the balls got rolling again. So for me, it's all about, staying consistent for one, and just trying to continually put out good content.
Well, we want to talk to you a little bit more about your experience. I want to ask you, but the Donkmaster is here, so I want to go ahead and talk about the festival. But when we come back, I want to talk to you about what was your worst and best experience on The Voice, and then advice that you would have for anyone that wants to get into the music industry, because you've gotten enough taste of it, I think, to be able to provide some advice. But the Donkmaster joins us now. Hello, Donk.
How you doing?
Doing good. Thank you so much for joining us. So tell me, what is a Donkmaster or a donk? Is it donk or dunk?
A donk. It's spelled D-O-N-K. A donk is a 71 through 76 Capri Sun Impala, old school Chevrolet.
It's hard to hear. It's hard to hear you.
It's an old school Chevrolet Impala, Capri Sun Impala. You can hear me clear now.
It's better.
Okay, so that's what a donk is. 1971 through 1976 Chevrolet Capri Sun Impala.
And you refurbish them.
Yes, I take them off the frame and I rebuild them from the frame up. I take the car completely apart and I put all new components through the entire car, like a frame all restoration.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, tell me about the festival. Either one of you who want to tell me, when is it?
At the Strong Threads Festival, well, they're doing it virtual this year, so it's normally at the Hopkins Center where they normally have that. My mother normally has that, but now she's doing it virtual this year.
Okay, so it's your mom. So now you can tell me why did you guys decide to launch this?
Well, my mother been doing Strong Threads, our star series team actor responsibly. She been doing this stuff for over 30 years. helping young African Americans better yourself and teach them different ways to, how to do public speaking, how to talk to people, finance stuff, credit stuff, just to try to better yourself in the African American community, as a lot of people really don't help you with that. So she started doing some of this stuff in the late 80s with some of that. So I've been around this stuff my entire life.
Right. So what can we expect to see?
She normally has like people singing, dancing, stuff. Stuff like that. She likes to bring every aspect of what is in the African American community. So like I'm doing the car race stuff, I bring some of my cars. She normally has stuff like that with a lot of history stuff. It's all different kinds of things you can expect at the Strong Threads.
Right. So Cam, can you tell us any other performers other than you? Obviously, you're going to perform.
Yeah, I will be performing. I'm not exactly sure. I don't have a list of names, but I do know that Regina Skeeters will be there as the host and MC, and she's a very talented singer and entertainer in her own right. So I'm really excited for that. But as I understand it, it's just going to be a melding of all types of art, from visual to musical artists to, like you said, dancing. And it's a celebration. It's a celebration of our history and our culture. Like he said, she's been doing this forever. I know they've been having the event for over 11 years, is it, right?
Yeah, this is the 12th annual Strong Threads Festival. Thank you, Michelle.
Exactly. So it's a celebration, but it's also a learning experience. Like you said, there are so many things that we are not all privy to. We don't all know. And so to be able to get together and learn those things through celebration and through the arts, I mean, it's a really beautiful cause.
So this year, obviously, it's virtual because of COVID. Yeah. So tell us the details. When is it? How can people check it out?
The date?
Anybody. Yeah. The date. Yeah. When is it? What time? What day? And when can people watch it virtually?
Yes, it's October 24th. I'm not sure the exact time when they're doing it because I know she was telling me something about the time frame, but I know it's October 24th. That's this weekend.
Okay. All right. Let's check out the promo. All right, that's the Strong Threads Festival going on, and it's going to be on Facebook Live 11:30 this Saturday. Michelle Harris puts in the chat that's opening and welcome by MCs Veronica Primus, Regina Skeeters, and Ron Edmonds. African drumming and dancing, featuring Paul Ali Allen. Prayer reflection, honoring lost lives due to COVID. History, traditional libation, and also a virtual house tour. The historic Harriet Barber home in Hopkins. Kelvin Washington is going to do that. And there's going to be just a lot of narration and tour of the Harriet Tubman Bridge in Colleton County, and a performance by Darian McLeod, who we just saw do some stuff with the South Carolina Archive. So it's going to be a great full day.
Yeah.
So why was it important, Cam, for you to come back home and do it?
Well, like you said earlier, I'm from Hopkins, and also, this is the arts, and this is about our history and our heritage. So, it's a beautiful cause. I think that there's nothing better than kind of taking yourself, bettering yourself, and then reaching back and then saying, okay, this is how I did it. This is how you can do it. That's what we're here for, is to help each other. I think that's exactly what we're here for. And so if there's any opportunity for me to do that, especially in my hometown where I'm from, where I learned the craft and where I grew up, I mean, I see, no reason to not be a part of that.
All right, so the virtual Strong Threads Festival is going on this Saturday. It's live at 11:30 on YouTube. How many cars you going to have over there, Donk?
I should have about 3.
Yeah, we can't hear you. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. All right, so I don't know what happened. You want to talk a little bit more? Let's see. No. All right. So I'm not sure what happened to the Donkmaster, but when he gets his connection, he's frozen now. When he gets his connection good, we'll be rejoined by him. So Cam, what are you going to sing this weekend at the festival?
Yeah, so I will be performing 2 songs. One is an original song, and the other song is entitled Gravity by John Mayer. My original song is called Save It for Tomorrow, and it's very special to me because it's the second song single I've ever released, but I also got to work on this song with John Legend and with Ryan Tedder as a producer on the song. And the reason why I was able to work with those two is because I made it to the finals on the show The Voice. And if you were a finalist, you got to, write your own original song and work on it with your coach and with a superstar producer. So it's very special to me. I hope everyone hears it and enjoys it.
Oh, I'm sure. So best and worst experience on The Voice. Best. Let's start with the best first.
Best experience. Oh, man, it's so hard to kind of narrow that down.
Yeah.
I hate
You want to say best 3?
I can list off a great many things. I mean, just the camaraderie and the networking overall, not even with, the coaches, but the peers that I had while we were there, while we lived there.
The other contestants. Yeah.
The other contestants. I mean, these are people who I will know and work with probably for the rest of my life because we're all on the same mission. And that's just to create great music and to share it with everyone who's willing to listen. And so, when you meet people who are just as serious about the craft as you are and they're working hard, those are connections that you'll have forever. And so that's one of my favorite parts about it, was just getting to work with other people who are doing what I'm doing, taking it seriously and pushing themselves and their brand forward. That was one part about it. Another huge part was being able to work with my musical idol, so to speak, and John Legend. He is probably the artist that influences my sound and my style more than anyone else. So getting a chance to work, personally with him, one-on-one with him, and now to have a relationship with him even after the show. I mean, that's the kind of thing that, you only hear about in books or movies that, somebody gets to have that experience. So that was another beautiful part about the show.
Is that who you wanted to work with when you got on?
There was like no doubt in my mind. I tried to go with an open mind and say, okay, you know what, whoever has the best spiel and whoever, really wants to coach me the most, that's who I'll go with if I'm blessed enough to even get a chair turn. But I knew, kind of subconsciously, I was like, if I get a chance to work with John, it will be a very hard decision to not do that. So yeah. And then just another great part was allowing my friends and family to get a chance to see all of their support throughout the years and, showing up to every show, listening to all the songs, having them see that, it's going somewhere and it's all for something and it's all moving in the right direction. So that kind of gratification of just knowing like, okay, something like this doesn't happen if you're not on the right track, if you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing in life, you're not going to get this kind of opportunity. And so that kind of validation right there overall was a big win as well.
Awesome. You're not going to get away from telling me the worst experience, but since we've got Donkmaster in here, I want to ask you, Donk, congratulations. I hear that you've got a show also.
Yes, I have a show on Vice that comes on Vice every Wednesday for the last 8 Wednesdays in a row. So now the first season is over with, so we're going to start filming season 2. Starting probably late November, early December, we're going to start filming season 2.
That's great. So what is it? Does this like kind of take us through a day of you refurbishing the cars? What's the premise of the show?
Yeah, the first season of the show just highlights more about the racing and the events and what happens at the events and when I'm actually racing. So like it shows everything when I pull up with the car. So I have an 18-wheeler with about 5 cars on it. So we pull up to the event. They show all the racing, They show me talking a little bit of trash, stuff like that. Then we get something together, and then we make.
I can tell you're a trash talker.
Yeah, I talk a little bit of trash.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
That's so exciting. How did you get the show?
The show actually, they see me through social media. Like my YouTube has means of views and subscribers through my YouTube channels. So they see me through my Instagram, my Facebook, and my YouTube. And it's something different. Like we do grudge racing and drag racing, but we do it on a higher level with big wheels. So we'll take a full show car that can win a car show. And, you know, these cars are fairly expensive. They're about $100,000, $150,000 vehicles. And then we put them on the racetrack and we race them. So, you know what I mean? There's something totally different as far as like seeing a regular race car, stuff like that. So it's a lot more into it besides the driving and everything as far as with the rims and stuff on the car, the wheels.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is so exciting. So do you like it? Do you like being on the show? Other than the money, I'm sure that's good too. But what do you think? What's been a highlight for you?
The highlight for me is the exposure and getting the stigma of every time they see a young person with a vehicle like I have myself. So when they see it, they automatically think one thing, but when they come to the show, it's something totally different. So my fan base ranges from people from 2 years old all the way to 80 years old. Even my grandmother, she loves it. She loves coming to the racetrack, see what's going on. She get to talk a little trash, and she get to, you know what I mean? She get to tell everybody that baby is the best. So, you know what I mean? I like it as far as that point. It can bring a lot of different people together, and it brings a lot of different races together also because it's drag racing, but it's a different way we do it. We got a different our own style, and it's something nobody ever seen before.
All right. You can see the Donkmaster's information on the screen, and don't forget to check him out on Vice. And hey, Dunk, the next time you do a race, I want to come out and bring my 2- and 4-year-old. My 4-year-old grandson would love it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hold you to that. I'm not getting in no car. I'm not racing, but we can stand on the sidelines and cheer you on. Go Dunk.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
All right. So Cam Wess and the Donkmaster, thank you guys so much for joining us. The event is this Saturday. We're going to play the promo one more time. And then Cam, so worst experience?
Worst experience on The Voice, I would say just not getting to do all the songs I would have liked to do on The Voice. There's some songs that are special to me that I gig with often now. It's like, wish I could have done that.
Yeah.
But, you know, other than that, no complaints.
We're going to play the promo one more time, and then thank you guys so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you. And at the end of the show, would you give us a little something, Cam?
Sure.
Maybe
yes.
one of those songs that you didn't get to sing.
Yeah, I got it. I got you.
All right. Here's the information on the Virtual Strong Festival. All right, it's this weekend, 11:30 on Facebook. It's the Virtual Strong Virtual Festival. StrongThreadsInc.org, StrongThreadsInc.org. The information is on the screen if you want more information about this amazing upcoming festival. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Cam, I'm gonna come right back to you in just a minute so you can close us out in the song. Now, Dunk, do you sing? Do you want to sing with Cam?
I'm a gapper.
All right. All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us. Doc, I want to see the race now. Don't do another race without me being there.
Nah, we got a couple more. We got one next weekend. I get in Memphis, and then I go to Las Vegas and California. So if you want to see those, and if not, you.
Oh Lord. Okay. Can you come a little closer? When you're closer, come a little closer. Just come a little closer. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. Good luck this weekend. Cam will be right back with you. He's going to close us out with a little something. I'm Tre Tailor. You're watching Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. Now, if you have a story that could help someone cope with COVID, please go into the Tailor Made production page on Facebook and send me a message. We would love to get your story on the air. Now, if you have a product or service that could help someone cope with COVID, please email copingwithtreitailor@gmail.com. copingwithtreitailor@gmail.com. That information should be scrolling on the bottom of the screen. And we would love to talk to you about being a proud sponsor of Coping with COVID, just like SCDHEC, In It Together, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Palmetto Media Connection, and also Agape Counseling and Training Center. Now, coming up tomorrow on Coping with COVID, we are going to be joined with In It Together and DHEC. The Diabetes Advisory Council presents Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday. It's diabetes and dentistry. Dr. Benetta Bell from Vista Smiles will join us along with, there's the flyer right there. Dr. Benetta Bell with Vista Smiles will join us along with Mary Kenyon Jones, Education and Outreach for DHEC, and also Dr. Raymond Lala, Director of the DHEC's Division of Oral Health. That's tomorrow on Coping with COVID. And on Thursday, we're doing more with our election coverage 2020. We're going to talk to Richland School District 2 candidate Shay Harley. And then Friday, it's Faith Friday with Bishop Eric Freeman of the Meeting Place Church. That and more coming up on Coping with COVID. As usual, I leave you with a reading from Jesus Calling. We're going to do this, and then Cam's going to come back and give us the benediction song today. October 20th, it says, I am your living God, far more abundantly alive than the most vivacious person you know. The human body is a wonderfully crafted, but gravity and the inevitable effects of aging wear it down. Even the most superb athlete cannot maintain his fitness over many decades. Lasting, abundant life can be found in me, Jesus says. Do not be anxious to my infusing energy into your being. As you identify more and more fully with me, my life becomes increasingly entwined with yours. Though the process of aging continues, inwardly you grow stronger with the passing of years. You know what? Joyce Myers was just talking about this today. Those who live close to me develop an inner aliveness that makes them seem youthful in spite of their years. Let my life shine through you as you walk in the life with me. That is your Jesus Calling for today. I am Tre Tailor. Cam Wess, who doesn't have any problem with aging, even though you just celebrated a birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
23 years old.
Yeah.
You're living a good life there, sir. So go ahead, give us a little something. Close us out.
Yes, this is my original Save It for Tomorrow, available wherever you listen to music. Okay, I don't trust you, and you don't always trust me. Sometimes you drive me crazy, but you're still my baby. We have good and bad times, happy and the sad times. But through all this sorrow, I think that we could just save it for tomorrow. Whoa, save it for tomorrow. Whoa, save it for tomorrow. Save it for tomorrow. Save.
All right. Thank you, Cam. That was good. Thank you so much for joining us. Good luck to you, sir. God bless. Please come back again so you can kind of let us know what's going on with your career. And Donkmaster, I know you're down there. I don't want to bring you up because you're upside down right now, but we want to hear from you too. If you've got something else that you've got coming up that you want us to promote, we would love to see you. Thank you, Cam. Thank you so much for joining us on Coping with COVID. Until the next time, I wish you peace, abundant blessings, and remind you to please wear your mask over your nose and under your chin. Have a great Tuesday.
Coping with COVID is brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Visit scdhec.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. Also, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, helping to meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Log on to columbiasc.net/OBO. Agape Counseling and Training Center. Call 803-779-2777 for licensed professionals of counselors and social workers helping families, engaged and married couples, and individuals of all ages gain an understanding of all aspects of their life. If you're having a challenge coping with COVID, contact Agape Counseling and Training Center at agapects.com. And Columbia Housing Authority. The agency is looking for stories from former residents of Allen Benedict Court to retain some of the property's rich history. In its 80-year life, Allen Benedict Court has been home to some of the country's elite, including a Grammy Award-winning performer, corporate executives, national television celebrities, a host of doctors, lawyers, and NBA greats. So share your pictures, mementos, and memories at chcares@chasc.org. Coping with COVID, brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities, Columbia Housing Authority, Agape Counseling and Training Center, and Palmetto Media Connection.
Coping with COVID with Tre Tailor.